board members, we have 4 members, so we do have a quorum now. Therefore, we ask for a motion to accept. We have had the opportunity to review the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda as printed?
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded by Frank Figures, second by Mitch McConnell.
Accepted.
I do apologize, Mitch, for giving you a new name. Okay, all in favor? Okay. Okay, are there any nays? There being none, the motion is approved. We've all had the opportunity to review the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the April 18, 2024 regular board meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Jean Harrison and seconded by Frank Figures. All in favor? Aye. There are no nays. The motion is approved. And now we are down to the superintendent's report.
Good evening, board members. Good evening to the JPS team, our scholars and community members and parents and all of those who are gathered with us this evening and those who will watch us later from your devices. We are pleased to have an opportunity to share some of the latest updates.
Play ball.
A ribbon-cutting ceremony at Hughes Field to celebrate a new baseball field for JPS scholars.
They have an opportunity to practice and participate on a first-class facility.
The $5.7 million spent here shows our continued commitment to develop our scholars.
We expect that we will be hosting regularly regional and state activities and competitions.
A state-of-the-art baseball field with a newly renovated football field makes the Hughes Sports Complex an outstanding training ground for scholars who want to excel in athletics.
Thank you, thank you, thank you to the community, and we depend on your continued support.
Applied to upwards of 35, 40 schools.
Joshua Paul Johnson, enrolled in the JPS Early College Program, awarded $2 million in scholarships from esteemed universities across the nation.
A lot of work, a lot of essays, a lot of dinners and interviews, mostly thanks to my mother.
The vision for being $1 million scholar was painted at this school at JTEX by Principal Molden.
And we are just so proud that they would be able to follow the example of other JTEX scholars who have also been $1 million scholars for our district.
With an impressive 4.0 GPA and a 32 on the ACT, Johnson plans to soar just as high with his career ambitions.
Welcome to the Simply Charming Dinner. So this has been a 9-week unit of manners and etiquette where students have learned to interact with one another, meet and greet each other.
JPS scholars ranging from grades 2 through 5 learned the value of good social skills and etiquette thanks to the gracious generosity of the Junior League of Jackson.
It is a life skill that will be with them. They will know how to interact in a public setting. They will know how to interact in a formal event.
Scholars demonstrated what they learned from a 5-course dining experience and the motions of formal dancing. The JPS art exhibit celebrating the artistic talents of JPS scholars from kindergarten through high school. The Cardozo Auditorium transformed into a gallery.
It's a relief to know that people see my talent.
Art exhibit participants received feedback from qualified professionals, and schools received recognition and awards for artistic excellence. Part of the JPS commitment nurturing not only minds, but the creative souls of our scholars. Enroll now in the 2024-25 school year. Early registration supports smooth school operations and ensures ample resources for JPS scholars. All students, new and returning, must enroll through the Power School Enrollment Portal. The Power School Enrollment Portal is easy, accessible 24/7, allows parents to enroll multiple children, and offers language options. SNAP code required for returning students.
Visit our website at jackson.k12.ms.us. Follow us on Facebook at Jackson Public Schools, on Instagram at JPS Student Voices, on Twitter at JPS District, Comcast channels 18 and 19, and YouTube at youtube.com/JPSITV.
As always, we want to thank the team for those updates, and it's really nice to see the video footage there and to be reminded of all the wonderful things that are happening throughout our district. So again, thank you, team. Jackson Public Schools is excited to join others across the country in celebrating Teacher Appreciation Week. We honor these amazing team members this week and always, and celebrate the impact that they continue to make with our scholars. JPS teachers are exemplars of educator excellence, caring, and commitment. And we thank all of our teachers and want to give a special shout out to all of the Teachers of the Year. Each of our schools has identified Teachers of the Year, as well as our district, of course, and so we want to give them a special shout out. I know there are lots of celebratory activities happening throughout the district this week, and I'm so thankful for our school adopters, board members, and other partners and individuals and churches and just folks who care about our teachers so much, who give so freely to help to celebrate these amazing individuals. And so let's give a huge round of applause and celebration of our teachers this week. And do we happen to have any teachers in the room? Any currently serving teachers in the room? Surely there's at least, I was going to say, surely there's at least a few of us here. That's right, that's right. Honorable mention to any of the other folks in the room who may have taught at some point or another. Honorable mention, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Okay, all right. That's right. Once a teacher, always a teacher. Board members, our team is working hard to finalize our district's strategic plan for the years 2024 through 2029. As you know, our current plan is sunsetting. It's ending this year, and so we've received quite a bit of feedback, and we're continuing to fold that information into the updated plan. One of the things that we've heard very clearly from various stakeholders is that there isn't a need to start from scratch with the new plan, but to deepen our work in many of the same areas. Essentially, we're hearing that we seem to be on the right track, but that we've got more work to do, plenty more work to do. I'll be presenting the vision and mission statements, the core values, our strategic goals to you and for your consideration at the next board meeting. In addition, I can tell you that there is a much greater focus on the people throughout the JPS community. That's young people, older people within and outside of our schools and around the district and community. Organizational effectiveness, a much greater focus there, and a much greater focus on post-secondary pathways and readiness. And I look forward to providing that update at the next board meeting and getting your feedback then. The Mississippi Book Festival and Jackson Public Schools have partnered since 2016. So we've been rocking together for several years, I would say, to promote the love of reading to our scholars. The Mississippi Book Festival unites readers and authors in an exhilarating celebration of books. The festival allows our scholars to see, hear, and meet nationally acclaimed children's book authors. This annual event is a phenomenal experience for our scholars. And at this time, I want to invite our Assistant Superintendent for Elementary Schools, Dr. Kathleen Grigsby, to come up and share a bit more about our ongoing partnership with the Mississippi Book Festival. Dr. Grigsby.
Good evening, Board Vice President Ms. Hilliard, board members, Dr. Green, and JPS community. I'm excited to present on behalf of Dr. Green and Jackson Public School District notable information about our partnership with the Mississippi Book Festival. But first, just a quick story. 5 years ago, almost to the day, Ms. Woody and I had just left our seats as principal and moved into our current position as assistant superintendent. We were invited to a series of meetings, transition meetings, trying to get to know the work that we were getting ready to get involved in, and the Mississippi Book Festival was one of them. One of the committee members asked Dr. Merritt, so who's going to be responsible for this work moving forward? And if you know him in only Dr. Merritt's way, I think Dr. Grigsby is the one. And I thought about all the overwhelming responsibilities we were getting ready to embark on, and I said, who, me? And this partnership has since, for many reasons, been one of my favorites. Board members and JPS community, we're familiar with one of the first key initiatives of the first commitment, Strong Start, of our 2019-2024 strategic plan, developing a robust literacy campaign. Not only did our district revamp the pre-K curriculum, the pre-K through fifth grade literacy curriculum, along with many other projects we implemented, which Ms. Woody was responsible for, the Barksdale Reading Institute, JPS Pre-K Kindergarten Parent Academy to promote early literacy, and our STEAM Expo, our science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, to promote increased interest in nonfiction books. But what you may not be aware of is the partnership with the Mississippi Book Festival is also an action plan that was intensified due to this campaign. So here's what we'd like to share about the Mississippi Book Festival. It wouldn't be the Mississippi Book Festival without KidNote. And as Dr. Green shared, it's their annual event showcasing celebrated guest authors who know how to ignite the imaginations of young people. With a focus on leading storytellers from around the country, KidNote aims to connect authors with pre-K through 12th grade scholars from Jackson Public Schools and around the state to inspire them to have a lifelong love of reading. They have contributed the following. They've provided 10 years plus of service to the Jackson community. They've opened attendance to all JPS elementary, middle, and high school to book festival events throughout the years with transportation, attendance, and books sponsored by the following: Phil Hardin Foundation, McMullen O'Connor Fund, Phil Cooperative, Terry and Dick Mopus, Junior League of Jackson, W.K. Kellogg Foundation, through funding to the Community Foundation of Mississippi. They've given 23,512 books, all to JPS scholars who attended the KidNote event and to all JPS libraries. They've exposed 13 award-winning authors and illustrators to scholars, including a Supreme Court Justice, a 3-term Library of Congress for Young People's Children's Literature, Coretta Scott King Award winners, Walter Dean Myers Award winners, Newbery medalists, New York Times bestsellers, and Caldecott Award winners. They've initiated the first Turn the Page event in Jackson Public Schools. So unlike KidNote, where our children had the opportunity to go and experience authors, Turning the Page event allowed the authors to come into the schools for students to engage with them there. And we were one of the first of 12 districts and counties impacted around the state. They have given personal time individually. So if they would stand, Ellen Daniels, if she'll stand, and then we'll call you up. She's been a part of supporting local bookstores such as Lemuria, and then came on to the Mississippi Book Festival as a literacy director before becoming the executive director. Ms. Tanya Murphy had been reading to children in Jackson Public Schools for the last 17 years. She's worked with scholars at Brown Elementary in the Eagle Eye Literary Club at Brinkley, and currently reads to Walton Elementary scholars. She was JPS's Parent of the Year in 2012, the second Congressional District winner, and the finalist for State Parent of the Year. All of this before becoming Community Engagement Director with the Mississippi Book Festival. She currently teaches creative writing to teens who are incarcerated. Will the following team members of the Mississippi Book Festival please come forward to be recognized? So, with our greatest appreciation, we hereby honor the Mississippi Book Festival in recognition for your partnership and commitment since 2016. Jackson Public School District, Dr. Eric L. Green, Superintendent, we thank you. I think they want to say a few words.
Thank you, everyone. And on behalf of Tanja, myself, and everybody else at the Mississippi Book Festival, Dr. Green, it has been an honor and a privilege to work with everyone in your administration and you, and to, expose JPS scholars to the incredible authors that are, that we bring to the festival every year. Last year, I just want to say one thing. Jason Reynolds, who is a 3-time, Librarian of Congress, Ambassador for Young People's Literature, came and he spoke to, in person, about 1,500 JPS scholars. And he spoke with First Lady, Dr. Ebony Lumumba. And I think that if he had been, the children had been allowed, they would have, scholars had been allowed, they would have asked him questions for 6 hours. They were so keyed in to him. He's such a, excuse me for being so formal, he's just a cool guy. And it's somebody that they could really identify with and really look up to, and that is one of the joy of our lives. And so JPS, that is the home team for us. We want to help build readers for tomorrow across the entire state, but JPS is the home team, and it is truly an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to partner with y'all and Dr. Grigsby, who is she's our ride or die at the Mississippi Book Festival, and we look forward to beginning our once-a-week Friday meetings with her again soon to prepare for the 2024 Mississippi Book Festival, which will be our 10th anniversary.
They have let me in schools with books for a long time. Thank you so much. That's all I can say. Just thank you for allowing me to do something that I love, that is me, that is my life, is being in schools with children and books. So thank you.
Easy part. Board members, hopefully you could see and hear, this is one of those partnerships that just, it's just been so fruitful for so many years, and huge thanks to Dr. Grigsby for spearheading and leading us in this effort, but also to the Mississippi Book Festival for your just continued investment in us, partnership with us, and just for continuing to think about us. And to help us to be creative in the various ways that we help our scholars to engage with books and with authors, and to see themselves as authors potentially and as writers in general. So another huge round of applause for the Mississippi Book Festival. As I try to reopen my document. Okay, and board members, lastly, as you might recall, we're in year 3 of our Global Citizenship Project. I had the privilege of traveling, ooh, Lord, Had to brush off my field trip chops, y'all. Had the privilege, truly a privilege, of traveling with these amazing young people all the way to Nigeria this year. And while I could go on and on and on and on about my own experience, it's much more important that we hear from scholars about their experiences. At this time, I want to invite JPS College and Career Readiness Manager, Mrs. Jana Williams, who will join us to introduce the fantastic scholars and tell us a little more about their experiences with the Global Citizenship Project.
Now, I have traveled to Abuja and Lagos with these young people, and I don't know why they're acting shy. Y'all can come on up. But yes, this is year 3 of the cohort for the Global Citizenship Project, which is one of the brainchilds of Dr. Green, and it's been, y'all stand in the middle. It's been a great year. Each year it gets better and better. We appreciate the opportunity, and each year we build on the program, so we're super excited to have the opportunity for our students. But I did want to introduce our scholars, JoJo Josana Clay, who is a scholar at Murrah, Deja Granderson, who is at JTEX, Khalil Millsaps, he's unable to be with us tonight, but he's a scholar at Jim Hill, Brianna Johnson at Murrah, Jordan Johnson, she's unable to be with us tonight as well at JTEX, Jalen Sanders, who's unable to be with us, she's at Provine, Mark Cornelius from JTEX, Alexia Anthony from Murrah, Isaiah Dobbins from JTEX, and he was unable to be with us tonight too. Sabrea Jordan, Murrah, Shamicia McDonald from Lanier, and Daniel Powell from Forest Hill. And then also our project managers, we have Ms. Denavia Bell, Ms. Bonita Donald, Mr. Smith is out today, Mr. Wyatt Smith, and myself, Jana Williams. And then we have some scholars who have some remarks to talk about their experience as being a GCP scholar.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
My name is Daniel Powell. I am a junior from Forest Hill High School. This year in the project, we've conducted monthly meetings with the students from Lead British Academy from Abuja and students from Prudence City College at Lagos. We meet each month on the first Friday to discuss topics such as higher education, politics, food, music, and art. We are also doing a book study on Half a Yellow Sun by Shamaya Shamandi Nagazi, which is a Nigerian novel about the Nigerian Civil War. These monthly meetings led up to our travels, so what we were studying, we got to see in person. Our first trip was at Washington, D.C., where we toured the White House, Howard University, University of D.C., African American Museum of History, and we also had a scheduled meeting with Congressman Benny Thompson. And now I'm going to pass it to my partner.
My name is Shamisi McDonald, and I am a junior at Lanier High School. And to help continue the amazing journey of the Global Citizen Project, I would like to tell you all about the trip to Lagos, Nigeria, and Abuja. Going to a different country may be challenging, but also fun in many ways. When we went to Lagos, we was automatically greeted with a wonderful person named Simon. We did many activities in Lagos, such as plant trees for a school, went to the Nike Art Gallery, went to Prudence City College and the beach, and so much more. We also tried different types of foods, such as puff puff, egusi soup, coconut fried rice, and a lot more. Many people may think that Nigeria is a bad place, but it is a very wonderful and welcoming place to come to. For instance, as soon as you go to any restaurant or any place, they automatically offer you water. They were very welcoming people, and you could talk to a random person and have the most interesting conversation in your life. We also met students from Prudence City College and the Lead British Academy. Within spending days with the students, love-bearing friendships was made. Within the friendships, it helped each other to learn more about one another as a whole, culture, and where they're from.
We are truly grateful. We are truly enjoying the Global Citizenship Program and are grateful for the opportunity, and we look forward to continuing to travel.
And I did want to share out Cohort 4 has begun. We have started taking applications for it for the month. If you have any juniors that you know are interested in traveling and would like to be a part of the GCP project, applications will be open until May 24th.
Let's give these amazing young people a round of applause.
Well, I'm sure we didn't have that opportunity when we were going to school. I surely would have taken it.
I think we should be.
Yes, indeed. They were gone a whole week. A week.
So just a point of privilege as they're taking their seats, board members. Actually, I believe, maybe say for one of them, I haven't seen these young people since we left our trip. And when I tell you, this experience blessed me so greatly. Just to have the time to spend with them, to experience, I had been the year prior to Nigeria, but to experience it anew through their eyes and watching and listening to them and just kind of feeling their own, sometimes nervousness and tons of risk-taking and energy and being whole people, experiencing all the things, including some stomach bugs. Don't mention that? Is it too soon? So there's that, you know. But we had an amazing trip. And it's not just about the travels to Nigeria, but all of the lead up, all of the study that the young people did, the exchange online with the young people, and of course, just preparing themselves to be ambassadors for their families, their schools, for our city and our state and our country. I don't think it was mentioned, but they also got to meet with assemblymen, national lawmakers in Abuja, got to meet with the interim U.S. consulate while we were there. 2 separate schools and the leadership in each of those schools, and so they represented us so very well, and I'd be remiss if I didn't note that this was all privately funded. This was all privately funded, so for anybody who's saying, why are you spending money on that, I hope no one would ever say that, but just in case, you know, they missed the point of how great this experience has been. It was, in fact, privately funded. And so we look forward to providing this experience as many years as possible and continuing to grow the program and thinking about ways to fold it more deeply into our programming here in Jackson Public Schools. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for being such wonderful participants this year. You all were very, extremely impressive, and I'm just so proud of you and looking forward to what you do with this experience going forward. With that, yes. Oh, wait a minute. I think we've got some parents. I think we've got some GCP parents here. I see a few. Y'all want to wave your hands? Are we still friends? Everybody okay? I promised I wouldn't come back without your babies, so mission accomplished, right? Everybody came back.
Dr. Green.
Yes, ma'am.
Are board members allowed to join y'all if we pay our own way?
Like it's possible. We'll have to talk about it.
Okay.
We'll have to talk about your role. I think there's probably a role for
I'll do anything.
educators.
Yeah, but we're educators.
We're still working with them. Some of them brought some really heavy bags. So are you willing to help with bags? Not so much.
I'll do my best. If it's a roller. But consider it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. it's hard to put it all in words, what the experience was. Any other feedback or questions?
Such an outstanding report. I sat here and I reflected on the program that I did when I was working, where I went to Russia. And of course, we were in Russia for a month. Coldest place in the world. but it was such an inspiration to be able to experience that. And I hope that this is something that we can continue to provide, this kind of experience for our young people. This has been an amazing superintendent's report. We want to thank you and all of the participants who contributed.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it.
Yes, wonderful.
Well, with that, Madam Vice President, I turn the board meeting back over to you.
Thank you. Board members, any other comments? Thank you so very, very much. We don't have any public participations today. Community members who would like to make public comments should email. I'm sorry.
Excuse me, Ms. Hilliard. I just wanted to apologize to the community members who were here on time and my team, but I had a fraud call on one of my credit cards, and that my mind went out, and I almost forgot what I was supposed to be doing today. Otherwise, you know, I'd never be late for board meetings, so please forgive me, and especially our community members who were here on time and waited, and the young folk. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Email your requests. If you're interested in being on the public comment section, email your requests to roswilliams@jackson.k12.ms.us no later than 4 p.m. the day of the meeting, or appear in person in the boardroom no later than 5:15 p.m. the day of the meeting. Next, we have information-only items. First item, JPS athletic update. Coach Darrell Jones. I know him as DJ.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. School board, Dr. Green, district administrators and staff, and our students, as well as our teachers and community members. This is the third year that we are presenting this information, the case for high school athletics and activities. Before we get into our presentation, I just want to introduce our athletic department that's with us. First, the athletic department administrative assistant, Ornette Green. I see you got a green shirt on. Ornette Purvis. All right. Assistant athletic director, Kenneth Green. Assistant athletic director, Chuck Wansley. We got our Hughes Field facility manager, Nolan Bass, and also Marquette Allen. Also, we ask our school level ADs to come in. So if school level ADs are here, would you please stand? All right. That is a role that we are really, that's really, really important, the school level athletic directors, because we can't do it all from the centralized location. So the building level athletic directors are really, really important to the success of our programs, and that is a position that we are stressing, we're really pushing to be a true administrative position, because we can't do what we do without them in their buildings. Okay, want to take a look at our presentation today. We're going to take a look at some of the data that we've been looking at for the past 3 years and see how we are progressing. Look at our vision, mission, and core values. We look at, I look at in our vision, prepare. Everything that we do, we prepare our scholars for success. Learning experiences. We provide we consider the field and the court an extension of the classroom. So we say that the field is a learning experience and the court is also a learning experience, and that helps create well-rounded students. We want to look at relevance as our core values. Relevant is very important to what we do, and is relevance. Each and every activity, each and every practice, everything that we do on the athletic field is relevant to the development of our scholar athletes. Go back one. Okay, objectives of this presentation. We want to highlight some of the benefits of our co-curricular activities. We want to compare this year's data to the previous 2 years. And also we want to share our next steps as related to creating more quality activity and athletic programming. Some of the benefits that we like to highlight in our co-curricular activities. Activities support the academic mission of the schools. Activities are inherently educational. So it's just like we mentioned before, our activities in sports are educational. They go hand in hand in everything that we do on the field and court. Our activities promote scholar health and well-being, and activities foster success in life. I want to highlight a few of the accomplishments of the 23-24 school year. Again, these are state accomplishments through the Mississippi High School Activities Association. We had 58 scholars from all of our high schools participate in the state track meet, which is a very good number. We had 6 swimmers to participate in the state meet. And also we want to say we had our first scholar athlete receive a swim scholarship this year, Ms. Taylor from Jim Hill High School. So we're excited about that. Callaway boys placed second place in the state in powerlifting, boys powerlifting. Provine boys basketball made a Final Four appearance. Jim Hill girls powerlifting, second place finish. And Murrah Esports, we had a fall state championship as well as a spring state championship in esports. In case some of you don't know what esports is, that's video games. Okay, all right. Okay. All right. Yeah. Miss Hilly, you knew what that was, did you?
Yes.
All right. Activities that we offer. We added bowling this year in the winter, so we had scholars to meet at Metro 24. We had our coach Emmanuel Muhammad from Callaway High School that did an outstanding job of transporting our scholars, picking them up from their schools, and their parents picked them up at the bowling alley after practices. We started archery as well this spring. We had about 22 scholars to participate on the weekend, or on one weekend at the Environmental Learning Center, and we are looking to expand that program this coming school year. All right, athletics participation. The blue represents the total enrollment of high school scholars in Jackson Public Schools, and the green represents the number of those scholars that participate in athletics. As you see, we're at 28%. We are setting a goal to try to get that number up to 50% by the, what was it, 29 school year. So, and we're going to we're in the process of putting some things in place so we can get that number up. Now we look at the discipline for our scholar athletes. The total discipline is represented in blue, and discipline that represents anything that was put in the computer. And the green represents the percentage of scholar athletes. As you see, scholar athletes only have 12% of our discipline. And you know, I think that's pretty good when we look at the total discipline. So we want to continue to, and the key is to try to get more students involved, more scholars involved, so we can get that number down even further. Our average daily attendance. If you look at the green represents our where our scholar athletes and activities. Now, I want to make sure that let you know that this includes band and choir and those activities as well as sports. We have a 92% ADA amongst our scholar athletes and 88% for everyone else, the student body. And I want to make mention that the scholar athletes are still represented in that 88%. So if they were removed from that 88%, that number would even be lower. Our grade point averages, and these grade point averages are at the semester of each year because we don't have the final GPAs until the end of this school year. So for each year of this data, the GPAs was taken from the semester. So we see our in green, our athletes and activities GPAs are 2.9, and the total student body is 2.6. And again, within that 2.6, the scholar athletes also represented in that data as well. All right, we have over the last few years, Jackson Public Schools and the community members, and we've invested quite a bit in our athletic facilities. And we just opened up a new baseball, softball complex at Hughes Field, and it's an amazing facility. We also redid the gym floor at Lanier High School last summer, and that was the first time it had been done since that facility opened. So the Lanier Bulldogs are excited about that gym floor. The game plan. This is where we are. This is what we said we were going to do on last year and the previous 2 years. So I want to give you an update on where we are on each of these. We said we want to increase the number of scholars that participate in high school activities to 50% by 28-29. We've kind of already talked about that. And some things that we want to do, and that is we want to make sure we have more checkpoints throughout the year to kind of see where we are. We don't want to wait until this time of the year and get our data. And also we want to, I think it needs to be a push district-wide from the athletic director's office, as well as principals, and even from the superintendent and school board and everyone, to get more scholars participating in athletics. And I think that once that is out there, we push it and we measure it and we check on it from time to time, and our building level ADs can kind of go back to, and we can say, okay, what are your participation numbers? And they can give us that, and then we can kind of push from the school level as well. We say we're going to develop intramural sports programming in elementary, middle, and high school. What we've done there, we're able to hire 2 PE teachers at our elementary schools this year, going into next year. And we're hoping that those teachers, the more PE teachers we can get at the elementary school level, we can kind of kickstart that intramural program in our elementary schools. At the high school, I guess Provine High School has been somewhat of a model for us in intramural sports at the high school level. And they've done some things with intramural sports, and we're looking to spread that program throughout the rest of the district for our secondary schools. We said we're going to implement a plan to assist coaches ensuring that scholar athletes meet NCAA minimum grade requirements. We are looking at some software, two companies with software programs that we are right on the verge of purchasing, and that software will help us to track our scholar athletes. And even our goal is, even if they do not participate in college athletics, we still want them to meet that requirement. So it's a good goal for everyone to meet, and we want to stress that all of our scholar athletes meet that goal. We want to recruit expert coaches and directors, sponsors who are passionate about developing young scholars. I've been working with Dr. Knowles and kind of sending him some transcripts to evaluate some coaches that may have played athletics, maybe some at the college level, and so we can get a little bit more expertise in some of the areas, so we can so they can develop our scholars. Embed athletic and activity periods during the day, so we can have our activities. And it's, what I mean by that is in our athletics, in our band and choir, a lot of times, sometimes those activities are after school, so we're working to try to get those activities embedded during the school day, so we can see more of them. Because a lot of times, if after school, they go home, and we just don't get a chance to see them. So I've been working with the district lead counselor on being creative in scheduling, and hopefully we can do that. Create ninth grade only athletic programs. We have gotten supplements approved for ninth grade only teams. So we are encouraging, the reason we want to have ninth grade only teams is because that gets our participation numbers up. And sometimes when scholars come to high school as a ninth grade, they're a little bit nervous about playing on the varsity team. So if we can get them, have a ninth grade only team, that we can get those participation numbers up. Provide ongoing professional development for coaches and directors and sponsors. This is the one that I'm really, really most proud of, because our coaches and directors and sponsors have really gotten some professional development that is really relevant to what they do as coaches. So we, on our 60% days, 80% days, and 100% PD days, they are getting that specialized training to help them develop. Create a customized district evaluation for coaches and directors and sponsors. We have created that document, and we started this year with football. We were able to sit down with the building level athletic director and the building level principal and myself, and we had a evaluation of football coaches, head football coaches, and this is a practice that we're going to spread throughout the rest of the sports as well. Key takeaways. Our schools will improve in various areas by increasing the number of scholars that participate in co-curricular activities. And that's the philosophy. We believe that the more students that participate, the more scholars that participate, the better this data is going to be. Better athletic facilities and equipment allow us to offer a high quality experience to more scholars. We have made tremendous strides in this area, and I can really say that the 58 track athletes that's participating in the state meet can be directly related to the track facility that's out there now, because they practice there and they get a lot of time on that track, where before we had that facility, they just didn't have a place to practice that really provided them the opportunity to springboard to the state. We want to continue to follow the game plan, but add quarterly checkpoints to evaluate direction and speed. Kind of talked about that earlier. We want to put this on the mind of everyone. This just can't be an athletic initiative. This has to be a district initiative, and once it becomes a district initiative, everybody will buy into it, and we're going to get more participants, and you'll see our data improve. All right, that concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?
Questions? We want to thank you so very much for such a thorough report and such an excellent report. Congratulations to you and your staff.
Yes, ma'am.
Board members?
Yeah, so I just want to kind of reiterate a couple of things that you said in here that really deeply matter. And so I just want to kind of call them out. There was one thing that you noted. You know, this was the first year that we had a member of the swim team to receive a scholarship, right? Dr. Green and I have talked about this on a couple of separate occasions, but these sports programs, and I'll extend it into activities. With the band and all of those things, there are immense opportunities for our scholars to receive scholarship money in college. You know this, and it is across all of these sports, across all of these activities, and it's encouraging to see this expansion, this drive to get more and more of our scholars participating in these activities, because we've got colleges in this town, right, in this city, that want to recruit our kids, and if our kids aren't participating, they can't get recruited. Right. You can go ask the band directors at schools across the state. They love having kids come through that they can go out and get money to, and same thing for all these sports, whether they're partial scholarships, full scholarships, whatever. It's an incredible opportunity for our kids. And it's not just the expansion of the number of kids, but like you talked about, the expansion of the actual activities in sports that we're qualifying kids to play in, right? That we're coaching. So that's one thing I just really encouraged by that. And you're right, it is and should be a district initiative, right? This is not you spearheading this thing alone, but it's got to be an emphasis for everybody. The other thing is, and Dr. Green, I don't mean to steal thunder for the next board meeting, but I know that one of the things we're going to talk about is sort of a new term that will be defined called JPS Joy, right? And right now we talk a lot about one of our current commitments under the strategic plan is joyful learning environments, and this is such an immense part of that, right? I think back to when I was in school, and there's a certain joy to getting sort of baptized and getting your brains beat in as an 8th grader, right, on a football field, but no, there really is this incredible addition to the experience, the joy on the ground of all of our kids. When we do this. And so emphasizing that to them, drawing them in, right? It's our job to sell them on the vision and to get them in there and be hard on them and love on them and all the things that coaches do, right? And so I think that's incredibly important that we continue to pull that thread through whatever strategic plan that we're developing. And the other piece is, and he's heard me say this too many times, probably y'all have too, we are in a constant effort to recruit kids.
Yes.
This district needs its babies in the city of Jackson to come to these schools, and one of the ways we do it is by hanging banners.
That's right.
There is almost no better recruitment. I would love to say, and I think we will say, right, very soon, this is an A district, and that's going to be an incredible pitch. One of the other pitches that we can say is, we're winning championships. Right. And so that's a sort of a push
from my perspective, we need to continue to encourage and to figure out ways to help you in whatever you need to do to push it all the way down into the school ADs, the head coaches, all of that. Our drive is not just to get kids to participate. Our drive is to show up everybody else in the state of Mississippi.
That's right.
So I just kind of want to throw that out there because this is such a huge, I think it's such a huge opportunity for this district we have in these athletics and activities areas. And so your job is an incredibly important one. We thank you for the information that you're providing. It's sort of just it's like a sounding board, right? It reinforces what I already think. Right. Is that the kids who are in our athletics and activity programs are they're being poured into in additional ways, and it's such a huge benefit that you want more and more and more of them to get it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Here.
Thank you, Mitch. Are there other comments, board members?
What he said.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're down to the student board presentations. Ms. Marsha Thomas.
Great evening.
Great evening.
Tonight, we will hear some compelling positions and points of views from our student school board representatives that also reflects the student body that they were elected to represent. Our first student school board representative is William Merritt V. He is the son of LaToya and William Merritt IV. William's future aspirations are to attend Grambling State University. I wonder why. His dad attended there. And mom. And attend medical school, and his goal is to become a cardiothoracic surgeon. But he wants to move to D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. I said, William, you don't want to stay in Mississippi? He flat-foot said, no, ma'am. So we have a job to convince him that we need a cardiothoracic surgeon here in Jackson, Mississippi.
Jackson.
At this time, we'll ask William to come up.
Good evening, Dr. Green, to the board members, administrators. My name is William Merritt. I'm a senior at Jim Hill High School, and the policy that I want to talk about today is policy AL School Day. I'm proposing that JPS high schools move from the traditional 4-block schedule to a 7-period one. I chose this topic to target because I think that it would improve the learning experience in JPS and the retention of knowledge. All right, so the pros of the recommended revised policy is that students will be able to attend each class each day. And according to researchers from the Nova Southeastern University, math and English are 2 core subjects that need to be taught and studied every day to return the information taught and to gain new information. The second pro is that students will be able to be more engaged and pay more attention in the classroom. After 30 to 45 minutes, most students tend to drift off and not pay attention in the classroom anymore, affecting their learning and translating to test scores. According to Maneuver in the Middle, shorter classes mean that the pace of learning is fast, and ideally there be less off-task behavior. Now moving on to the cons. Less class time would reduce the one-on-one time that students would be able to have with their teachers, and this is usually what we get in the 4-block schedule, as we're usually in class for an hour, 30 minutes plus. Moving to the second con, students may have more homework and more frequently, and in the 4-block schedule, you have a day in between your class to complete homework, as opposed to the 7-period schedule where you'll be going to each class every day. The last con is that students will lose 4 credits, as usually they earn 32, but moving to 7 periods, they will earn 28. And it's important to note that in the state of Mississippi, you only need 24 credits to graduate high school. These are notable school districts utilizing the 7-period schedule: the Los Angeles Unified School District, the Charlotte Mecklenburg School District, Detroit Public School District, and the Huntsville City School District, which utilizes an 8-period schedule. And also, what you should notice that the school districts actually allow the high schools to choose whether they want to do a period schedule or a block schedule, and it's the high schools that choose to do the 7-period schedule. All right, so I did a poll on 100 students, and I asked them whether they would prefer to be on a 7-period schedule or a 4-block schedule, and 72% of them said that they would prefer to be on a 7-period schedule. And what they were saying is that they feel like that they would be able to retain more information in a shorter time period, and they wouldn't drift off, and they feel like that it would allow them to, you know, gain more information. Even though I stated to them that they would have more homework, they feel like they would be able to complete it better because they would remember the information. The teacher poll results. I asked 20 teachers whether they would like to keep the traditional 4-block schedule or move to a 7-period schedule. And 60% of them said that they would rather move to the 7-period schedule. And most of their comments came from the teaching time, as most teachers don't teach to the full capacity they're supposed to teach to. And this is coming from teachers themselves. So they even stated that moving to this 7-period schedule, they would be able to teach better, and, you know, students will be able to gain knowledge better.
You might need security after this.
I hope the educators that are here are already gone, you know.
And in closing, transition to the 7-period schedule will further improve the quality of learning in Jackson Public Schools. It is backed by other urban school districts like ours, and there is profound evidence to suggest that this would benefit students and teachers alike. Thank you. Y'all got any questions?
Just want to thank you so very much for giving us a lot to think about, you know. I can remember when we used to have that kind of schedule way back when. I won't say how far back, but it was way back when. And you are right on point, I think. Thank you for making us think about what we need to do.
Thank you.
Board members?
I got a couple of questions for you. So it's funny to hear anybody, to your point, it's funny to hear anybody refer to the block schedule as the traditional block, right? Because when I was in high school is when we transitioned to a block schedule, and I was in your shoes, and I was like, man, this is the best. That's just a funny footnote. But here's a question, all right? And so this was one of the things that, there are two things that I think I'm interested in your take, because this is a pushback, right? One is, what do you do with learning loss over Christmas break, right? Because that was a major complaint that kids had and teachers had when I was in school, when we were moving to a block schedule. You finish your classes, right? You take finals just before Christmas, and then you start new stuff in January, right? So what did you hear? Did you hear anything from teachers concerned about sort of bridging that full year or anything like that?
I didn't hear anything from teachers about that, but I think that students still have to realize that they have an effect on their learning. So the students will have to think to themselves that they need to study themselves other than just going to school, leaving, and not doing anything.
That's a good point.
And so the second thing I'm going to ask you about is sort of non-core classes. You talk about this shift from 32 to 28 credits over the course of your high school career. And I just got done preaching to somebody about how much I love the activities, right? That's usually what's lost, is some of the activity blocks. It's not the core coursework. So how would did you hear that from any of the teachers or students concerned about giving up some of their electives, or do you have thoughts on how we could go about reincorporating some of those things that would likely be lost over the course of a 4-year? You're basically losing one of those every year, right?
So most of the students and teachers that I interviewed were IB students and teachers. So usually in IB you have a requirement. So right now I'm required to take 7 classes, and usually the 8th class that I take is a PE class. It's like baseball is a PE class. So I didn't really hear anything from the students about them, you know, thinking that they would have to lose certain electives, and it's still kind of like AP classes. The curriculum varies, so it just be student from student to student really.
Any other comments?
It was an excellent report. Thank you. It gives us a lot to think about.
Thank you so very much.
Mr. Merrick, before you leave the podium. I guess it's not your fault that you are a senior and leaving and having this conversation about the schedule changes now. You think this might have changed if you were in 9th grade? Think you'd have the same?
I think I would.
Feelings?
I think I would, because I've been going to the block schedule since I was in 6th grade, and I still thought that we should move to it, because, you know, I got a lot of friends, like in Texas. Like, I got some family in Texas, so they talked about going on a 7-period schedule. And I felt like going to a 7-period schedule, I'd be able to go to each class every day. So I go to psychology, and then I wouldn't be like, oh, I got to go to Spanish tomorrow. I got to do this and that. I wouldn't be thinking about the next class the next day and be confused when I'm going to each class every day.
Right. Right. Like others, I think I'm just so glad that you took this up and that you did the research and you did the polling and all of that to try to better understand where are you and where others and thinking about the block schedule. I had a question about the cons and just your thoughts on what we do about that, but I won't ask that question. I think the one that I do want to pull out, though, is about the use of time. Is it truly, as you've investigated this and thought about the different approaches to scheduling, is it truly the time itself, or is it the use of the time? And in that, I'll add, have you not also experienced well, you've only had the block schedule since 6th grade. So I'm just wondering if you, whether it's through cousins or friends in other places, have not also heard of the poor use of shorter class periods, inefficient use of that time.
I think
you understand my question?
I do.
Okay.
I think it ties into both, and the poor use of time and the time limit. As I said before, the biggest con would be the one-on-one time, and in certain situations, you may not need the one-on-one time as much if the students are given a shorter time to understand it, and they wouldn't be just sitting in class not doing anything.
Right. Thank you so much. I appreciate your thoughts on this. Really well thought out presentation.
Thank you.
Strong.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Brown, please take care of this young man when he goes back to school. Yes.
And I did want to just follow up with Mr. McGuffey on the block schedule.
Yeah.
We're not on a 4x4.
We're not a true 4-block schedule.
Yeah, we're just on an AB block.
Yeah. I wonder if he wants to switch to that.
To a
college
4x4?
grade. Yeah.
Yep. Our next school board representative is Malcolm Wilson. Malcolm is a junior at Provine High School. He's also in the Pride of Provine band. He's the sousaphone leader in the band.
Nice.
Dr. Green, I know you were a band player. His goal is to attend a community college, then move over to Jackson State, where he wants to be in the sonic boom of the South, and major in information technology.
All right.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
As on the presentation, my name is Malcolm Wilson. I'm a junior at Provine, and the policy I chose was the scholars' use of electronic devices. So, policy JCB-AAA, the policy includes the expectations and responsibilities of JPS students regarding electronic devices. However, this policy can be improved to create a more balanced school environment with the following suggestions. A survey from randomly selected scholars of Provine will be conducted to view the opinions and questions regarding the test of the theory. There will also be a list of possible ways to implement new strategies. So next slide, instead of like pros and cons like most people do use, I chose to do glows and grows because at my middle school that was like the main way we used to improve ourselves. So the glows that I said of this policy was obviously the restriction of cell phone usage in testing areas, prohibiting students from photographing, recording, or videotaping individuals without their knowledge or consent on school property. And the last two bullets, in short, it basically states that it's keeping and limiting cyberbullying. Because another big thing that a lot of people feel like is a problem with letting scholars have more phones is cyberbullying. So having these rules still in place in the policy, I feel like are still necessary. The goals I said for this policy was, for starters, in the first section, it tells us how JPS holds high expectations for its scholars regarding responsible use of cell phones. It also says that scholars are allowed to have cell phones as long as they don't disturb educational time. Yet this statement, the next statement tells us that scholars can't have their devices, which most scholars see as JPS' way of forcing its students not to bring their phone. Section 2 and Section 2 and 3 states that electronic devices should be turned off at all times on bus and not in use in the gym, lunchroom, auditorium, testing centers, and media centers. However, restricting access to cell phones in some areas is unnecessary, such as hallways, gyms, lunchrooms, and auditoriums. Being more lenient with phone usage in these areas can help scholars be more willing to put them away during instructional time. The next slide shows I did a survey amongst a group of 9th to 12th grade of scholars, and I asked them how would they feel if they had more times on their cell phones during times that aren't instructional times, and would they be more willing to put them up? And 61% said they would, and another response, and most of the responses, written responses, they said if they had more time on it, then they could get out of the way the things that they felt like they needed to do on their phones, or have like a break from just learning. So I feel like this could help improve our educational system by giving students more time on their phones. In section 4 and 5, for me they correlated together because I said this section refers to the consequences of violating the policy, such as taking a student's phone away and forcing them to pay a fine, to pay it back, or have it held for a given number of days. The school then says in section 5 that they aren't liable for damages, lost, or stolen devices. So if a scholar's phone is confiscated and damaged or lost, the student is held responsible. And because of this, I felt like the penalty system could be more lenient and lead more to the disciplinary ladder that we have in place to give scholars more chances to improve and better themselves. And I said that this way, the punishments for a second infraction isn't as harsh because the second infraction says that a student phone will be held for 5 days and they will have to pay a $15 fine if they want it earlier. And it also says that, they have to be held for 5 days. And I said that this is, to me, it felt a little absurd to me because it's not just holding during school time, it's being held out of school time. So I said it would be more reasonable for parents and students if they could retrieve the confiscated phones if it was only allowed if their phones were confiscated during school hours, which is in the revisions and suggestions. The first suggestion that I said was that the policy can be improved by reviving Section 3, Part 8, by allowing scholars to use their devices in places like hallways, lunchroom, buses, and gyms. And I chose these areas because I felt like these areas had the least amount of instructional time. So if they had chances during these times where it's not as much instructional time, then they'll be more willing to put it up later. And I said allowing scholars to use their devices during these times will make them more willing to put them away and restrict areas. Having restricted areas like in classrooms or like in important meetings and auditorium, like as an upcoming senior, I know that we have senior meetings. Having them restricted during these times will allow scholars to know when devices can be out and when they should be putting them away. If a scholar uses a cell phone in a restricted area like a classroom without permission, or the appropriate punishment can be given. And I said, with this system, it can be having a parent pay a fine would be more reasonable because they have more chances to put up their phone and they have chances on their phone. So if a student still chooses to pull out their phone, then it's their opinion. So they should face the consequences for it. How to achieve this, to maintain control while showing leniency was something that I felt like was a big thing because still cyberbullying and we want to limit cheating on testing for accurate results. I said during times that are allowed, like in the hallways, teachers can be in place as hall monitors and have senior representatives and SCA members make sure scholars are heading to class and not recording others. In gyms and lunchrooms, scholars can have their phones out, but it can be confiscated if they're disruptive, recording or posting videos on school property without permission. And this slide mostly shows how I feel like this can be implemented, the policy that I feel like if it was revised could be implemented to help scholars be on their phones but still have control, having control over them, making sure that they're not doing or feel like they can do whatever they want on these phones. And one of the last suggestions was in section 5 where the district isn't liable for the loss or damage or stolen devices. I felt since this policy is in place, I don't feel like section 5 should be revised, but I feel like if this policy is in place, it should give the scholars to be able to keep their phones. In the policy, it says that they can keep their phones, but because this policy, most schools enforce having scholars turn in their phones during class time, and they get their phones in the hallways, but it's still, they're not allowed to use them. So I said if we adjusted this to make it more, putting more responsibility on the scholars to keep up with their phones and putting up their phones away, then section B wouldn't have to be revised. And instead of holding a scholar's phone downtown, like having it outside of school hours, it would be more reasonable if it was confiscated during school hours and the principal would have control and charge of the confiscated scholar's phone, and refusal to turn in the phone can lead into further disciplinary action. And what I mean by holding a scholar's phone in school, I saw in Clinton school policy and Pearl school policy, they had, instead of holding their phones downtown, they will hold the scholar's phone. When they came to the school, the scholar's phone would be confiscated for how many days. So if a student had their phone confiscated for 3 days, they will come to the school, turn it into the principal, and then after the school, they could retrieve their phone back. And I said this would be more reasonable to parents because students have emergency situations outside of school, and if their phone is downtown and they can't exactly get it, then it would be very inconvenient to the parent. And also, this brings up the situation where the policy also states that phones can be used in emergency situations, but it has to be permitted by a principal. I felt like this could be revised because a principal might not always be around at that time, or if it's an actual emergency situation, they might not have the time to get to a principal. So I feel a lot of scholars agree that having the use of a phone in an emergency situation, if it's an actual emergency situation, should be allowed to use them even if a principal is not around to give them permission to. And then another thing that a rule that I felt like we could use to help limit cyberbullying was I asked students, are you willing to let teachers search your phone if you're suspected of cyberbullying during school? Because another thing I saw in Clinton school policy, they allow their scholars to have phones, but if they're using their phones on school property and they're suspected of cyberbullying, the principal or that teacher who is suspecting the student has the right to search that student's phone for any cyberbullying material. And over 50% said yes and maybe. And the scholars that said no, the only reason they said no was because they felt like it was an invasion of privacy, but they would be more willing to if they could feel like they could trust the school more. So I feel if we were to implement more strategies to allow students on their phone, it could give them more trust in the school and the school board and allow them to be more willing to let them inspect if they're cyberbullying. And that's the last slide. And any questions?
Thank you so very much for an excellent report. It's obvious that you all do a bit of research on all of this information. It's going to cause us to have to do some research too. But thank you so very much. Great. Board members?
I too agree with Dr. Hilliard. This was a wonderful presentation. And it just reminds me when my daughters were in JPS in middle school, and pagers were the thing. So I'll just leave it at that.
Pagers.
Other comments, board members?
The great report, thank you.
Great.
Yeah, I think it was great and well put together. I think it was great and well put together myself. Back in my day, one of the great joys that I had going from high school to college was being on the honor system. That meant that people trusted me and allowed me to be accountable. Mm-hmm. And I think within your presentation, you're asking for more trust, mm-hmm. and more respect for your personal accountability. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really,
yeah.
I'm gonna hop on the back of what he just said. So where I went to law school, it has an incredibly robust honor system. For example, I could go check out my exams and go take them wherever I wanted, and then just come back and turn them in, and you're on an honor system. Now, part of being on an honor system, part of the way that it works, or at least at Virginia, the way that it worked, right, is there were incredibly harsh punishments, right? So that's the way they balance that out. You get tons of freedom. However, they still operate under a single sanction. You're expelled, period. Any violation. So one of my questions is, what do you think about, part of your presentation was about the punishments that are imposed, and part of it are about the freedoms that are provided. What if those punishments get harsher in exchange for that? Do you have thoughts about that?
I feel like if we had more freedoms, then the punishment would be, like you said, it would be more reasonable, because when it comes to more freedom, you have to understand what you can do with it, and with that more freedom, you have to take accountability for it. So the punishments being harsher would be a good thing of keeping people in control, of knowing I have freedom, but I can't just do whatever I want with it.
Anyway, I loved it. I mean, it's really interesting. So thank you.
Yeah.
And by the way, I went to Tougaloo College.
I think I want to pick up on where they were, and start with a question. Are you aware of anyone at your school who has managed to follow the rule and not use their phones at the prohibited times?
Yes, a couple of my friends do, because I like to circle my people. My friend circle consists of people who don't want conflict. So for the most part, we all follow the rules, but we all understand that for us, it's not that we want to follow the rule, it's that we know we need to do it to succeed at the current time. So, but at least in my friend circle, we feel like more freedom would give more scholars that, not just like us, who decide that, what if I don't want to follow this rule? It would make them more willing to follow the rule.
Right. I appreciate that. And I didn't want to ask you if you followed the rule. I didn't want to ask you that, and certainly not in the mic, but are you aware of anyone? Okay. So I appreciate you sharing that and being forthright with that. And so following up with that, you do know why, or can you presume or make some assumptions as to why these rules exist?
From what I researched and from the time I had at school with cell phones, I do understand why certain rules are in place, and I understand that it's due to it being a very big distraction and disturbance, especially during educational times. Like certain scholars might have their phones out during class, disrupting other scholars from learning. And I understand the different cons that comes into having phones and allowing more students with phones, but I feel as if it's more pros than cons to it.
Understood. No. I just wanted to start with you, so you do understand, or you can make some assumptions as to
Yes, sir.
why the rules were created. And I will share, like, that's a real conflict for me, because I am confident, though I didn't know if you followed that rule with regard to your phone or your friends, I'm confident that there are plenty of scholars out there who do follow the rules, but specifically with cell phones, and that they aren't using them at those prohibited times. Unfortunately, we in society are constantly, I'll say, victim to or subjected to rules, laws, etc., that are created because somebody chose to cut the fool. And so we as school leaders and other folks in other places are creating these rules, because somebody got into several somebodies get into fights as a result of cyberbullying, or because sexting is happening, or because people are cheating, or just on and on and on. All of these really unfortunate things that take up so much of our time and energy. And so all of this, I'll end with this. I appreciate the push for us to look for ways to provide more of the freedom and to presume innocence and good intentions in the beginning. I think, we would all have to continue this dialogue as to how do we get there? Because the reality today is that even with the rules, there's a bit of time that we spend dealing with people who make bad decisions and create all kinds of havoc in schools as a result of their use of it. So that's even with the rules. And so you might imagine that lots of leader people are concerned, well, what would happen if we did away with that? Would that open the floodgates, or would it actually have the adverse effect, giving more of the freedom and showing more trust in the beginning, and perhaps having folks have moderated use at these particular times? I appreciate this. I'm moved by this presentation. I certainly don't, it takes a lot to try to manage all this, manage folks using their phones or not. And I'll tell you, the times where we've had to, this board has even had to hear discipline matters where fights were scheduled, where, on and on, all kinds of foolishness was facilitated through the use of phones during school time. It's a tough thing. Thank you for pushing us and our thinking about this, and for challenging us to lift our eyes up and see the folks who are doing the right thing, and considering how we acknowledge you more so in our laws and policies here. Thank you.
That was excellent.
We thank these young people, but we also thank Ms. Marsha Thomas for working with them and all that she does to bring these excellent thoughts to us. Approval of, next we have information action items. Approval of the Southern Initiative Algebra Project and the requisition of the scope of work. Lakita Marsha Thomas.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening again.
Assistant Superintendent of High Schools.
The administration is presenting for action the memorandum of agreement between Jackson Public Schools and the Southern Initiative of the Algebra Project. The goals of the partnership is to improve the quality of education, especially math instruction, available to all our students, particularly in the linear feeder pattern, by working together, planning, developing, implementing, and evaluating proven strategies to build conceptual math knowledge and competency. The goal of the Algebra Project is to provide professional development for teachers and facilitators in the linear feeder pattern schools, provide community site development, provide youth initiatives that provide leadership development and mentoring and tutoring for our scholars, and also to provide a partnership with colleges and universities, namely Jackson State and Virginia State University. So I do want to add that for the district's commitment that Jackson Public Schools will provide educator stipends for up to 50 participants for professional development, and this will go through September 30th of 2024. But we also budgeted for the following 2 years, and this is in the case that the Southern Initiative is not able to provide the funding available for the subsequent 2 years. And so we have set aside funding to cover those to ensure continuity and implementation.
Great. Okay. Board members, are there questions? Comments? Is there a motion to approve information action item A?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Jean, second by Mitch. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? None. There being none, the motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Approval of information technology services job. Ms. Erin Mason.
Good evening.
Evening.
The administration is recommending for information or action the approval of the reopening of a position, Network Analyst 2, and the updated job description for that position. We believe that updating this job description and returning it will better meet the needs of the department as it better aligns with the technology and the strategies of the department today.
Thank you, Ms. Mason. Are there questions, board members? Is there a motion to approve information action item B?
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Frank, second by Jean. All in favor?
Aye.
There being no nays, it is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Approval of agreement between the Central Mississippi Civic Improvement Association, DBA Jackson Hines Comprehensive Health Center. Dr. Green.
Sure. The administration is recommending the Board of Trustees approve the memorandum of agreement between the Central Mississippi Civic Improvement Association, doing business as Jackson Hines Comprehensive Health Center, and Jackson Public School District. The Mississippi Department of Education, through the Office of Federal Programs, in the fiscal year 24 Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, Title IV, Part A, grant, recognizes the importance of improving access to care, reducing health disparities, and improving the overall health status to low-income and minority populations of Hinds County. And so there's a significant need for creating collaboration among the Jackson Hines and JPS to help address some of the social needs and to provide some greater access to activities surrounding health disparities and prevention. And so this funding would be dispersed to the schools where there is already a presence by Jackson Hines in JPS, the high schools, and to the tune of $55,200 dispersed amongst those schools, and the schools themselves and the scholars would be able to identify some activities to use the funding and promote healthy living.
Thank you, Dr. Green. Board members, are there questions, comments?
I think it's a great idea. No, I just said I think it's a good partnership, and I move that we approve the agreement between the Civic Mississippi Improvement Association.
There's a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Gene Harrison, second by Mitch. All in favor?
Aye.
There are no nays. There being none, the motion passed. Approval of a right-of-way and easement to the City of Jackson Council, Gentleman Council Moore. Harris, I'm sorry.
Good evening, Board Vice President, Mrs. Hilliard, board members.
She gave me that eye.
She's about to flash a ring.
Good evening, Board Vice President, Mrs. Hilliard, board members, Superintendent Dr. Green, JPS Community. The administration is recommending that the Jackson Public School District Board of Trustees approve the request for easement right-of-way to the City of Jackson for the construction of a walking and biking trail along Peachtree Street in Riverside, adjacent to Wells APAC and Murrah High School.
Board members, are there questions?
Just a comment from me. The walkways that are being built along Riverside in front of, and on the backside, in front of Wells and on the backside of Murrah have been excellent. This is a continuation of that. And so I really appreciate all of the, any shove we can give the city to continue that because frankly, if you've watched people walk up and down that street in the middle of the road, it is incredibly unsafe. So it's a good thing.
All right, are there other comments? Is there a motion to approve this information action item?
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nays, none. So it has been approved. Approval of the Citizens Math and Data Sharing Agreement. Dr. Cormack?
Good evening, Mrs. Hilliard, Dr. Green, members of the board, and our JPS community. The administration recommends the approval of a data sharing agreement between West Ed and the JPS School District. Citizen Math is an innovative middle school math program that introduces supplemental math lessons into the curriculum through the vehicle of citizenship. So just as a brief example, a 7th grade lesson called Bigfoot Conspiracy poses the question, should people with small feet pay less for shoes? And it is helpful in teaching proportions. Another lesson, Wage War, is pre-algebra and teaches, it asks the question, should the government increase the minimum wage? And it asks students to solve linear equations. This particular pilot would allow us to participate in a scientific study wherein several of the middle schools are receiving the support in support of our core value of relevance.
Thank you, Dr. Cormack. Board members, are there questions?
This is a new project, right?
Yes, this is a new pilot project. We were introduced this through an engagement with the Hewlett Foundation as part of their partnership work with us with West Ed. And the professional development has been really strong, and so we want to participate to this study. There have been some initial data analysis that indicates that it's really, really strong, but the professional development for the teachers that are selected as part of the scientific study has been really phenomenal. And so we're looking to replicate those practices at the end of the 2-year pilot.
Is this the pilot program? How many of our schools or scholars does it touch?
So all middle school math educators are part of the study. Only half of the schools by designation are participating in the scientific study so that we can generate and look at outcomes and did this particular program and innovation lead to more promising results. But to go and to observe in classrooms, the level of engagement has been phenomenal.
Great.
Okay. Are there other comments, questions? Thank you, Dr. Cormack. Is there a motion to approve information item E?
Motion to approve.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
No nays. The motion is passed. Okay, the next item on the agenda, Stephanie Martin, Executive Director of Transportation, information item F.
Good evening.
Evening.
The administration recommends the approval to award RFP 2023-21 EV Chargers reverse auction to Iris Facilities Intelligence. And that is the company that will actually come in and do the installation of EV chargers for our EV buses.
Okay. Questions, board members? Comments? Is there a motion?
So moved.
To accept, so moved.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved by Frank and second by Mitch for item F. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay. We have some more here. I'm sorry. Ms. Martin? Okay,
Yes.
you can do all of them
I
together.
can do all of them?
Yeah.
All right. The second one, the administration recommends that the board approve a consulting service agreement with First Consulting Services to assist with optimizing routing for this upcoming school year. And this will also take in consideration with the schools that are closing, to take a deep dive in looking at our routes as to how we can make the best of the buses, the drivers, the areas as best as possible.
Who does that now?
The staff, we have dispatchers at each terminal that does the routing. We have a system in place now, Tyler Technologies, that we use to do our route management.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Okay, you may move to the next item.
Yes. The administration recommends the approval of modification number 2 to the Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality, MDEQ, Memorandum of Agreement. This modification aims to rectify an error identified in the original subaward agreement between MDEQ and Jackson Public School District, executed on May 4th, 2023. With this particular one, we were initially awarded through MDEQ to decommission. We were awarded to purchase a new bus, and we had to decommission another bus in replacement for it. There was an error with the VIN number, so we're just trying to rectify that on paper, that it's reflecting the right VIN number.
Okay. All right.
And then,
questions? All right. Next item.
and the last one, the administration recommends the approval and acceptance of funding from the Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality, MDEQ. This funding, issued in the form of a rebate, will enable Jackson Public Schools to purchase 2 new school buses for early replacement. These buses will replace the following Thomas school buses, identified as 2002 Thomas school bus with the VIN number ending in 41770, and Thomas 2004 Thomas school bus VIN ending in 10965.
Comments, questions, board members?
None.
Is there a motion to accept items G, H, and I?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and second that we would adopt items G, H, and I. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. The motion, are there any nays? Okay. Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we're down to the consent agenda item, finance. All the consent agenda items have been, for finance, have been reviewed by the board previously, and we've had an opportunity to ask the administration questions. Are there any further questions? If not, board members, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda finance?
I move we accept the consent agenda items, finance.
Second.
Second, it's been moved and second. Moved by Jean Harrison, second by Mitch. All in favor?
Aye.
No nays. There being none, the motion is approved. All right, we are down to consent agenda items general. The board has previously reviewed all the consent agenda items, and we have had an opportunity to ask the administration questions. Are there any further questions? If not, board members, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda general items?
Motion.
Okay, it's been moved by Mitch, second by Frank. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, aye. Okay, there being no nays, the motion is approved. Next, we have consent agenda items, personnel. All the consent agenda items, personnel, have been reviewed by the board previously, and we've had an opportunity to ask the administration questions. Are there any further questions? No further questions. Board members, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda personnel?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Jean, second by Mitch. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, there being no nays, the motion is approved. There is a consideration to hold an executive session. Is there a motion to close the meeting to consider the need to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Jean, second by Mitch. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. The motion carries. It's approved. Thank you, everyone.